With it thought that Tony Khan will fire CM Punk and more, this is Wrestling Hub. My name is John, and you're watching the second edition of the Wrestling Report for September 12th. Before we get into the rest of the video, make sure you subscribe to Wrestling Hub and turn on all notifications to stay up to date with everything in the world of pro wrestling. Also, don't forget to follow us on Instagram at Wrestling Hub Official and follow us on Twitter at Wrestling_Hub. Speaking on casual conversations about his goals in pro wrestling, Dolph Ziggler had this to say about leaving the business in a better position for the next generation. When it comes to now 2022, it's just finding someone like a Theory who's quickly picking it up, crushing it, and be able to have some time on the weekends. Live event matches where we don't have to go to commercial in 90 seconds. We have 25 to 30 minutes, and you beat him down, and you see what he could do, and you see if he could pass that on to someone else when you're done. So things like that are much more important to me. Leaving the business better than when you started and actually having a meaningful impact on not just young talent or talent the same age or even talent that are older than me, but being able to know that no matter what the win-loss record is out there, no matter what fans say online, everyone in that locker room says, this is the guy I want leading my platoon, putting the company on his back, putting me over his shoulder and passing it on to the next generation. With him making his debut the night after WrestleMania 38 on Raw, Veer Mahaan looked like he could make a big splash in WWE. However, Fightful is reporting that there aren't significant imminent creative plans for Veer as of right now. Of course, Mahaan has not been seen on programming since August 15th on Raw, where he won a squash match. Following the retirement of Vince McMahon as chairman and CEO of WWE, Stephanie McMahon and Nick Khan would be named co-CEOs of WWE. Stephanie is also the chairwoman, and Triple H would be named head of creative as well as head of talent relations. Now, PW Insider has reported that this new regime in WWE has energized the locker room as well as the production team. It was even noted that the balance of employees' work responsibilities and life outside of work has seen a massive improvement under Stephanie McMahon and Nick Khan. When Vince McMahon was in charge, it was said the sentiment was keep your head down, as workers felt that if Vince was going to work long hours, that they needed to follow suit to climb the corporate ladder. It's even believed that under Nick Khan, Stephanie McMahon, and Triple H, that employees can do their job without the level of stress that was present under Vince McMahon. Current employees apparently feel the management team is more approachable, as one staffer recalled a meeting with Vince McMahon as running into the T-Rex from Jurassic Park you didn't want to call attention to yourself. Talking about his hiatus from pro wrestling, WWE star Johnny Gargano was asked on After the Bell if he considered retiring. Yes and no. I gave myself kind of a year. When I left in December, I kind of said, okay, I'm content being gone December. I think December 7th might have been my last NXT show. December 7th to December whatever, December to January. I was okay taking off a full year, letting my body rest, letting my body recover, but also letting my mind recover, and also re-energizing myself. I've done this for almost 18 years at this point, and I've been very lucky. I haven't had any major injuries, I haven't had any major time off, knock on wood somewhere. So I haven't had any downtime for me, and as you guys know, there is no off season in what we do, so we're just going consistently, especially when before I even got here on the indies. I was going hard every single week at multiple shows, double shots, wrestling multiple times a weekend, staying in shape, doing all that stuff like that. It mentally wears on you, and especially in this current day and age with social media and things like that, that gets in your head and the mental health problems we all have to kind of go through. I was just totally fine taking this year, spending it with my baby and being a staying-at-home dad. Working on my dad bod, which I did, working on my dad bod, getting ready to go and just being happy. I was totally fine with that, with wrestling not being in my life. I don't know if there was any point where I decided maybe I won't come back. Obviously, it crossed my mind a few times when I'm staying at home and I'm able to do whatever I want and I don't have anyone to answer to, anywhere to go. I wake up in my own bed every single day, I work out in my own gym, I hang out with my kid. It's a great life. Speaking about Ric Flair's final match at StarCast, Chavo Guerrero told the Wrestling Perspective podcast that he doubts the Nature Boy is retired for good. When I see Ric Flair's retirement match, I'm like, which one is this? You just don't ever really retire. I got a whole thing that stems out from my old wrestling career. When I'm doing a comic book convention or a cameo, it all stems from wrestling still, but I'm not getting punched in the face anymore. With him previously agreeing with Bobby Fish on Twitter that CM Punk stole his finishing move, Kenta has taken another shot at the former AEW champion as he wrote, "Let the world know. One of my worst experiences in this business is that I was not allowed to use my finishing move for 4 years, a move which I created on my own. What a life." Speaking on his 83 Weeks podcast about the backstage brawl between CM Punk and the Elite, Eric Bischoff noted that he can't see AEW President Tony Khan not firing Punk. The worst part of what happened in that media circus was the level to which Phil Brooks, whatever his name is, Phil went to humiliate Tony Khan. He eviscerated him. First, he cut his balls off, made him look like a complete tool, and then when that wasn't enough, he had more time to just ramble on. I think he humiliated Tony Khan. Now, I've said some things about Tony. Other people have said some things about Tony that aren't flattering, but just to sit next to a guy that you're paying millions of dollars to and have him trash your company and make you look like a complete tool, which he did, it's not the fight. I don't care about the fight. The only thing I would have cared about the fight is who got the best shot. I think the way Phil humiliated Tony, that was unforgivable. I never had anything like that happen to me. Now, guys would say that was leaked to the media because that's what a lot of guys did back then. They would leak things to the media to try to help execute their agenda or get a point across that they couldn't otherwise make. That happened, and it bothered me, but nobody ever sat next to me in a media scrum just completely trashing my company and making me look like a complete a-hole. That never happened. I just can't imagine a scenario where you keep that guy around. I cannot imagine one, and if they do, my guess, it's just a guess having been involved in litigation, that they're keeping them around until they can determine, they meaning AEW, that from a legal perspective, they're bulletproof, because otherwise, you got this disgruntled piece of named CM Punk that, just coincidentally, supposedly tore a tricep early in his match. Is there any indication of that? Has anybody seen anything in that match that makes him go, I can see, yep, there's really, and maybe there is. I didn't see the match. I'm not saying it's BS. What I am saying is BS is when I saw him in that press conference. He didn't have any problem feeding his face with Twinkies. He wasn't selling anything. He wasn't in pain. He was stuffing his face like he hadn't eaten in a month. I mean, he looks like a wino. It looks like somebody picked him up on a street corner somewhere in Chicago and sobered him up 20 minutes before the press conference. He looks like always has. But did you see him selling his tricep when he was eating? He was just two-fisting Twinkies while he was up there. You couldn't see it, right? So I think it's BS. I think he got hurt. I think he tore his tricep in that backstage altercation, whatever that was. That's going to be a mess. So if they keep him around, it's because they're trying to navigate that. That's my guess. Talking to Bill Apter of Sportskeeda about the origin of the $1 Million Man character, Ted DiBiase revealed Vince McMahon kind of laid it out there. He says the one thing that everybody hates is someone who bullies people with their wealth. He says, and like most bullies, they talk real big, but in reality, most of them are cowards. And I said, yeah, my dad always told me that. And he said, that's the essence of this character. And you're that type of heel. He said, this character, we haven't named him, but you're going to have all this money, and you're going to throw your money around. And he says, we're going to do some vignettes before people ever see you in the ring. And I am almost speechless. He says, now the limousine is waiting for you. We've got you at the Helmsley Palace in New York City, which is one of the finest hotels. He says, we have a room for you and your wife there. I said off the top of my head, he sounds like $1 million man to me. He goes, the $1 million man he is. Former WWE star Paige is set to make her return to the pro wrestling ring as a referee for WAW on October 15th. In the meantime, a fan has accused Paige of stealing her name, Soraya, as they wrote in a now deleted tweet, I'm sure someone else had it, and you paid to get it. Stop the cap and be more original. Paige replied, I didn't pay for it. I got it for free since, it's my birth name. Weird thing to start arguing with me about though. When speaking about Brock Lesnar with Sportskeeda, Steve Austin noted how he and Roman Reigns are the biggest draws in wrestling today. Love Brock Lesnar. That guy's been in the game forever. He tried to make pro football. He never really played a whole lot of football. A couple times All-American in wrestling. Almost makes the football team, the Minnesota Vikings. And then he says, hey, I'm gonna go fight in the UFC and become the UFC heavyweight champion, and then gets back into the business. He's still, after over 20 years, the biggest draw, him and Roman, in the business today. Brock Lesnar has had one of the most amazing, different runs in the history of the business, and no one will ever do it like Brock Lesnar has done it, whether it is Suplex City or in the Octagon. When asked about The Undertaker during that same interview, Austin noted in regards to his character, if they gave that gimmick to anybody else, and I've told Mark this to his face, it might have lasted 2 years, maybe 3, and then it would have just fell off and no one would have been able to do it like he did. It was a once in a lifetime thing that they caught lightning in a bottle. Austin would also have this to say about The Rock's success in Hollywood. Who would have figured? But you know, I think that's what he had his sights set on. He's a third generation pro wrestler, so he got into the business because of a passion for the business, and then he also saw the light on the other side, or the light at the end of the tunnel. That first tunnel was maybe that first Scorpion King movie. I think it only took just one screenshot of him looking like a movie star, this larger than life character that he was in that movie, The Mummy or whatever it was, you know what I'm talking about. And this was your Pro Wrestling News Update. I hope you're all having a great day. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you later.